Hey MGTOWs, just enjoying a Saturday morning in the Vention house. It's starting to feel like spring. We actually had a little bit of sunlight earlier, but can't count on that in Seattle. But it's actually warm enough to sit out with only a light jacket. Good times. Got buds showing up on all the fruit trees. Looks like the raspberries are starting to come back to life. Wakey, wakey. Good times. I'll probably need to reseal the roof of that shed this next year. Got the blackberries all knocked down. I'm going to turn those into chips, and I'm going to use it to restart my side garden there. Yeah, good times. I don't know if I'm going to make a garden there this year in the blackberries. I think I might just use the mower and keep the blackberries suppressed. The composting tomato planters have produced some good compost, and I'm going to use those to recharge my hugel bed out there. Let's see, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. 5 nice buckets of compost, plus what's in the tumbler. Yeah, good times. Now, what was I going to make this video about? Yes. I was just talking to I was just interacting with a young MGTOW. Let's see, my red pill transformation. His name is Vladmir Sauce. And he's in a place in his life where he basically is, he's like very young, and he's in a place where he doesn't really know who he is yet, what he's good at, and I gotta say, that is one of the hardest times in a man's life, is when he's young and trying to figure out, what his talents are, what he can create in the world, and where he belongs, because he has run into a bad place in his life. And that's where you realize, when you're a young man, that you don't belong in the world. and where you and a lot of people who they can't really see, they give in to despair because they can't really see the potential of the future and where they may belong, because they don't belong anywhere right now. But they don't understand that they belong in the future. Those and basically the future will come. And I was in the exact same spot when I was a young man, and I was so lost. And then eventually I found a little niche, fixing trucks, and I pushed that career for everything I had, and made something out of it, and got into a nice, comfortable place. And I have made it to tomorrow, and now I'm enjoying the last decade or two of my life, and I'm just calling, I'm shouting from across the canyon. Tomorrow will come. You will, if you work hard, you will make a good life for yourself, even with this shitty economy. Currently, As I was saying, we are currently in the downturn of this next big nasty recession. And if the economic cycle continues as it normally does, um, we should bottom out in about 3 years, and then we'll have like this big bull market, major booming economy from 3 years from now to about 8 years from now, and then we'll max out and start dropping into the next economic cycle, the next recession. So there's opportunities out there. I mean, if I was in Canada and I was like jobless right now, I would look into building greenhouses, because the Canadian dollar is such, has been pushed down so badly due to the falling oil prices that it's caused imported American produce to be like real crazy expensive, and and they're building greenhouses like crazy over there, and I would get in on that action. Also, man, if I was a young man like he is, I would so get into programming. I mean, Android programming. Plus, there's a cryptocurrency called Ethereum, and it's it enables you to do smart contracts and make conditional contracts which execute by themselves, and agreements that actually pay one party or another according to certain conditions, like what a stock price is, or if some other condition was met, then it pays off. And there is just such potential there. There's a guy who has recently built an app for Android that uses the Ethereum network, and that thing actually is designed to replace or compete with Uber in a more decentralized way. Uber, it can be attacked by like centralized governments wherever it's incorporated. It could be seized by the local law enforcement and everything. But something like this decentralized app that is being launched, it would be much harder for the feds or whatever to knock it out. So decentralization, cryptocurrencies, that sort of thing, and that's the way to go. If I was a young man, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like being a diesel mechanic. It's fun. It keeps me buff for a 50-year-old anyway, and and it pays well. But man, working, doing the programming side of things with Ethereum and Android, that the possibilities are endless. You could become a millionaire doing that shit. If I was like 30 years younger and I was in my 20s again, I would so head in that direction, But right now I'm 51. The mind is just not the tool that it used to be. I don't have that mental flexibility. I can't do that new shit like I used to. Even speaking, back in the day, I could like think of something I wanted to say, more or less, and then just drop whatever that into my speech centers, and then the rest of my mind could go off and do something else while my mouth just kind of went da 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 and reeled it out flawlessly. Not anymore. Nowadays, it's like letting go of a steering wheel while you're on the freeway. It's not a good idea. And there have been times when I've just said the most astoundingly stupid shit, and I'm like standing in front of my fellow mechanics, and they're all looking at me like, "You really said that?" I'd say, "Yep, I said it." Sure as shit, I did. So yeah, that can get embarrassing. But anyway, I'm just saying to these young MGTOWs, like, if you feel like really lost, and you don't have a place in the world, and you don't belong in the world, and man, that is so the case, you don't. You don't fucking belong in the world. And that's because you belong in the future. And it's a hard place to be, let me tell you. God, I have so been there. And I have lived in, squalor, and I've lived in the freaking army. Some of the most stupid people alive who had authority over me and were ordering me around, telling me what to do, and they were just so pathetic. Like when I was getting out of the military, the one of the last couple days in the military, I was in military intelligence. Anyway, so we had females in the company, and this fat, ugly, stupid lesbian. She was so fat. Her uniform buttons were like stretched, and they were like, the shirt was distorting because she was so fat. And she had the audacity to make a minor correction in my uniform, and it was just like, it's just so insulting. And it was really hurting my self-esteem. And man, I was so suicidal back then. God. But I made it through. It almost broke my heart, but I fucking made it. Took a lot of work once I got the fuck out of the army. Went to diesel school and busted my ass to move that career forward. Oh man, I finally freaking made it. It's just a fucking relief. For example, let me tell you something that I endured in the army. I had this, we were in Saudi Arabia, and we were in waiting south of the Iraqi border for the first Gulf War to start up. And I was an E4, so I had what they called shit burn detail, and that's where you have to pull the buckets out of the latrine and then pour out the urine and basically put diesel fuel on the shit after you consolidate them all together, and then burn it, and then stir it around, a little more diesel, light it off. It takes about an hour. It's not a huge deal. But then this stupid E5, when I was in military intelligence, fucking military intelligence. Anyway, when I was there, I have never met such a brilliant group of fucking idiots in my whole life. People have said to me that I'm a little excessively cerebral and maybe a little impractical sometimes, but nothing in the world like those people. They just were fucking geniuses. And they were just so fucking stupid. Well, anyway, this one sergeant, he made me pour the shit in with the piss. He made me pour it in there, and I was saying, Sergeant, piss is made of water. Water won't burn. Piss won't burn. And we went round and round, and it's like kind of like when you're a kid and there's a bigger kid who grabs your hand and says, "Stop hitting yourself." It's a degrading, freaking pathetic thing when you're forced to do something with your body that is so fucking stupid. So I, with just this crushing despair, I poured the piss in with the shit. And I fucking put diesel on it, and it floated on top of the piss and burned down, and then went out. And then I stirred it around. Did it again and again and again. And I was out there for fucking something like 15 hours all the way up, and then people would walk by, and like my commanding officer would walk by. He says, specialist mention, why are you still out here? And I said, Sergeant so and so made me pour the piss in with the shit. And then eventually, as I stirred it, it turned into this really, really, really revolting paste. And then finally dark rolled around, and I had been there all fucking day. And then, fortunately, my team leader showed up, and we loaded the crap on the back of the Humvee and went out into the desert and buried the shit. And it was just so fucking pathetic. And there was other, like, and then some of the people, when they were getting, one guy, when he was getting out, he was saying, man, the Army has really fucked up my self-esteem. In order to go back to real life and transition, I'm going to have to spend a few months down by the train station giving nickel blowjobs to bums and winos until I get enough self-esteem back to go on with my life. I was kind of a young, innocent guy back then. That just mortified me hearing that shit. But it was kind of true, man. It will fuck you up. So, if you're thinking about going into the Army, man, think twice. Try to aim for a field, a career. Diesel mechanic like I do, man, I'm happy doing this. If you can turn a wrench, go for it. But if you've got that young, flexible mind who can actually handle programming, and I enjoyed programming when I was a young man, like 20-ish or 18-ish. I bought an assembly language programming thing, but computers and the internet didn't exist. Computers were just a tiny shadow of what they are now. I guess I was a man born before my time. I should have been 20 years old now. But basically I was like, borderline suicidal that whole time. It was just so fucking pathetic. But and I can really feel your pain when you're talking about how you don't fit into the world. And man, because I know you don't. You know how I know? Because I've been there. You just gotta hang in there and put your full mental power into figuring out who you are, what your talents are, what kind of beauty and that you can add to the world, and how you can carve out a little place for yourself where you can maintain some of your sanity and have some relaxing times and de-stress and have a little bit of peace. So yeah, and it takes a long time to do that shit, to really get where you want to be, but man, it is so worth it. I'm just, periodically I get up in the morning and I'm saying, oh, holy shit, I finally made it. I'm like some kind of freaking refugee escaped from some horrid place and found a halfway decent place and way to live. So yeah, you don't belong in the world. Where you belong is the future. I just saw a movie called The Croods. I know it's came out in 2013, but I was very moved by the story that the main character guy, was told. How I can't tell you because I'm gonna burst into tears. So it's just that he made it to tomorrow, or he's been there, he's seen it, and to other people, who are like new in the world and not, who are lost, you can, if you really bust your ass and really work to figure out who you are, you can make it to tomorrow. You can find a good place for yourself. And it's a tragedy how many young men especially, we have no fucking guidance, no clue. no, and our fathers have been booted out of our lives, so we oftentimes don't have their guidance, and half the time they're lost anyway. They're like blue pill simps, I guess. But yeah, it's a tough row to hoe. But if you stick with it and get rid of he smokes a bit, So I was just telling him, get that marijuana out of your system and fully engage your mind in where you are, and then you'll be alert to the possibilities in order to and you'll be able to find a good solution for yourself. There are opportunities out there. It's just golden opportunities that that you just don't recognize, but you got to be present in the world, not numbed with alcohol or marijuana or anything. You can do those things later if you want, but right now it's time to get serious. You gotta really focus on where you are. Okay, I think I'll leave a link to Guy's story and the video that I'm responding to, and I guess I'll see you guys around. I'm going to do a little bit of gardening today. Finally, we got a little bit of sun on a weekend. I'm going to redo my garden on the side by the fence, and probably dump all that compost onto the hugel bed. And that's probably all I'll get to do today. But okay, so I gotta get started on this. Gardening is just like anything else. You get out of it what you put into it. And if you put a lot of effort into it, you'll get some good stuff. But if you don't, then you won't get as much, obviously. Well, I've rambled on enough, so I guess I'll let you go. Later, MGTOWs. Oh, by the way, don't get married. One last thing. This guy was talking about how his first girlfriend he lived with was giving him shit tests, and about how she wouldn't clean up the dog crap and it was all over the house. His girlfriend gave him shit tests with actual shit. Not good. So I'm glad. I am so thankful for him that he didn't get that girl pregnant. Oh my God. Okay, later guys.